Welcome to Chalk Talk, Danville Public Schools weekly news magazine. I'm Diane Locker, your host. We're at George Washington High School because this is the very first day of school for the new school year. Very calm out here, nothing going on, but that's going to change as the students show up. I have with me today our new superintendent, Dr. Stanley Jones, and what's really unique for him today is that he's going to every single one of the schools. Now, Dr. Jones, we're just about to get started here at GW, but you told me you've already been to 4 schools.
I've been to 4 schools this morning.
Now, you told me a story I thought was kind of funny. You said you had some children waiting for a bus and a bus didn't show up. Whose fault was that?
Well, it's the first day of school. So, the first day is about getting the rest of the days right. So I think this was a group of students that picked up a bus at a particular place last year and expected it to be there again this year. But, we worked through it.
We call that not paying attention.
Well, we were able to work. We did some problem solving. So if we continue to have problems, then we'll have to do some more solving, I guess. But
now, I think that mentioning the bus, this is a good point that we need to make to the community. You're going to notice today there are more buses out there, and those buses are going to be out there every single day until school ends in probably May or June. So you need to start watching out for those big yellow buses.
That's right. Absolutely.
Always stop, always look out for kids. When you see a bus, you're going to see kids. Keep that in mind.
And also, I guess an important thing for the public is if a bus is stopped, especially on a 2-lane road with lanes going in the same direction, make sure you stop and don't pass the bus. That's a state law.
I think one thing that's unique, too, talking about state laws, is that we now have a camera. That if you decide that maybe you don't want to stop when that bus is stopped and that arm is out there, it's going to take a picture of you as you go by the bus.
You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. Let's talk about the first day of school.
Okay.
Now, we're here at GW. All of these kids are returning. Everyone returns this year. I want to go back to one thing that I said to you in an interview we had a couple of weeks ago. Okay. And I asked you, what are you going to do your first year? And your answer to me was, well, 6 months ago I started coming in and I said, that's not when your first year starts. Today, the rubber meets the road, and this is the start of your first year because this is what we're here for, kids.
Exactly. And so today is really about observing, sort of seeing what our routines are at the beginning of the year, trying to get a picture of school climate, the feel in the school, et cetera. So it's really a continuation of what I've been doing in terms of just learning and listening and observing and asking questions.
Right now, some of that learning, listening, and observing, you're going to be able to do with students, which you may not have been able to do prior to this.
Exactly. And the exciting part about that is that's who we serve. So obviously, I'm interested in connecting with students, developing a relationship with students, getting feedback from students, getting their perceptions on what's working well, what isn't working well in our schools.
You mentioned the word climate. One of the things when I got here, I've been standing here, and I even mentioned it to you earlier. I mentioned to the cameraman, has school started yet? And he said, oh, yes, the buses have come and gone. It is so calm.
Well,
and that is so important.
It's critical. And I would argue that students they're looking for a routine. Yeah. Matter of fact, our high school students have been in school for a number of years, so they kind of know what the routine is. We do have some new leadership at GW, at George Washington High School this year, which is doesn't mean that things are going to change, but I would anticipate that the new principal has already set some expectations in place and parameters of how we ought to behave, and so that may be part of what we're dealing with today. But I would hope that most of it is students are just ready to get back at work.
I think they do. I think we make a lot about getting out of school for the summer, but the kids are kind of anxious to get back. But I think we also need to mention the fact that the teachers have been here for a week, and they've been getting ready and planning for the day to be as calm as it is.
Absolutely. Teachers set the tone for the first day. I mean, the old saying, you only get one chance for a first impression. Well, today's first impression day.
This is it.
So the tone has been set, and now how do we build upon it for the rest of the year?
I want to ask you one question about something that I read. And that's about, we're going to be looking at, you had in our last interview, you were getting ready to go to a retreat with the school board.
Yes.
And some of the results that I've seen that came out of that talked about getting a committee together to look at maybe some type of school plan. What was that?
It was a discussion about how we work strategically to meet our mission, which is improving student learning. So when we start talking about improving student learning, how do we engage all segments of the community? And sometimes we use language that's confusing. We talk about internal and external. Internal, we are typically talking about our staff, our students, the folks that are employees. External, we typically refer to people who are not employees, but maybe citizens who are not directly connected to the community, but still influence what happens in our schools and still care about what happens in our schools. So we don't always use plain language, and that's something we need to be more explicit about who we're talking about when we say internal and external. But the bottom line is this: the schools touch the community and vice versa.
If I had to, and you'll have to correct me here if I'm wrong, what you're really saying is that we want to come up with a strategic plan for our school system to make everything work better, more efficient, but we're going to include basically all the stakeholders. That's the community, that's the students,
Exactly.
that's the employees,
Exactly.
Businesses, all of those people, because everyone in this community has a stake in the school system.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it any better.
And I think that's a little bit better than maybe what I read about.
Yes.
Okay, I said the rubber meets the road here. And you and I now, we're going to go in here and we're going to see what's going on at George Washington today and give you a chance to, let's say, talk to some of these students.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I don't want to disrupt. I mean, one of the things I'll note as we go in is it's not about me. It's about them. So as I go in, I'm really just observing. I'll say good morning. Some teachers will want to introduce me, and I'll say, stay in the routine. It's not about me.
What's so funny is that sometimes all of these employees, yes, you're an important person to them, you're an important person to me, but you might walk up to a student and you might have to just explain who you are.
Which is why I say I'm an employee of Danville Public Schools.
Okay, let's go. Come on. Ishmael, when we walked in the door, you shook this gentleman's hand and you shook my hand. How do you know him?
This is our superintendent, Dr. Jones, and I must say this is a phenomenal man. It's been great to meet him, and I actually met him this summer at a meeting that we held at the school board office.
And what were you doing at the school board office?
We were at a meeting. He was thanking us for being, on one of the committees this summer that did a wonderful job in selecting a few members of the school system.
You did. So you got some input into who's going to be working on the school system?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's an honor, but I also feel like, due to the hard work, it always pays off. It shows the hard work truly does pay off because it gives you an opportunity to be able to say that my hard work in my 11 or so years in public education has shown off to where I can be on committees and panels to help our future leaders.
You've impressed me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now, what's so nice about this is you reminded me that when you were in the 5th grade,
Yes.
that I did a show with you.
Yes, that's correct. Can't be mentioned. I remember Chalk Talk. I remember we were told we were going to be on the news, me and my little sister, and we all went to my great-grandmother's house. My whole family sat in the living room and watched us on TV.
You know what? Your grandma, your mama, everybody's going to get another chance to do that.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Now tell me, what grade are you in?
I'm a rising senior this year. This is my
Rising senior. This is the big year.
Yes.
What are you going to do next year?
I'm looking at James Madison University, but I also have applied at Liberty and Virginia Tech.
You know something? You're going to do good. You're going to do
so
good.
much. I appreciate it.
Now, Dr. Jones, you met this young man this summer,
Yes, I
and this gave you a good view of what we've got here in Danville Public Schools.
Well, we are here for one reason, to serve students. And we selected a new principal this year, and Ishmael was on that selection committee along with parents and staff members. And as we were making that decision, I thought it might be useful to get their input about the process we use to identify a principal and select a principal. And so Ishmael was one of 2 students that was on that committee. And certainly, I think when he spoke, it was like the Prudential. Everybody listened.
Well, you need to get to class.
I have late arrival, so I don't have to be here till 9:15, really. So.
Well, you've got more time than our superintendent's got. He's going to go to every single school today.
I really am proud of that, and I actually have the choice of doing that as well when Gentlemen by Choice start back up. President of Gentlemen by Choice, we have to go to every school that we mentor at, so I have the privilege of doing that as well.
All right, I'm going to give you a job. One of the best shows I've ever done, the highest rated, was Gentlemen by Choice. And I have talked to Mr. Toomer this morning, so you make sure that Mr. Toomer and you get in touch with me because we need to do a show on Gentlemen by
I
Choice.
surely will. Make sure that gets done.
Thanks for
Definitely.
talking to us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great school year.
All right, you have a wonderful show, and thank you for allowing me to be on it.
Morning, how are you? Good. Morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you this
Good, how are you? Morning. How you doing? Find your way around? Good. I love bugs. I love bugs. Thank you. Well, you must see something in me then.
Yes, sir, he does.
Right. Everybody know where they're going? I know Ishmael knows. Yeah, my watch is obviously not synchronized with the school's watch. I know, but this is where the action happens. Yeah. It's so quiet now. I'm almost wondering if there's anybody here. I don't know. How much time between classes? 5 minutes. You know something, Mr. My first year as principal, we went from 7 to 5 minutes, and you would have thought that we changed the world. People went nuts.
I mean, but 5 minutes is actually not it's long enough, but
It's plenty of time.
Yeah. Like you don't realize how long 5 minutes is.
Yeah, it's plenty of time. Let's go, folks. Morning, how are you?
Get the class,
Morning.
ladies.
How are
Let's
you?
go. Let's get the class.
I'm not sure. Hold on, let's just wait here in blue. I'm not sure what that is. Keep moving, folks. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Doing well. You know where you're going?
Let's go. Way down the hall next way. All right, ladies, let's go. Let's stop standing in the hallway.
Confusing some more teachers
S
that
word.
they
Hold on a second. What's the S word?
That's me. That's one of them.
This way.
On the left hand side.
All right.
Let's go, sweetheart. You know where you're going?
I'm an employee there. I'm a superintendent. Nice to meet you. How are you? How are you? It's nice meeting you. I feel like I was getting an autograph or something. How you doing? Good. You ready to get back in the room too? Yeah. Is that your room? Nice. Congratulations. Good luck this season.
What you need, sweetheart?
Morning.
Morning,
Morning, Mr. Toomer. I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
There's some steps right there. Go up those steps, and this room's going to be right in front of you. Spark.
Morning.
Terry,
Morning.
get rid of
Good seeing you.
pen. Good morning.
Go well.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to GW.
Thank you very much. You got looking well.
We're trying hard.
Oh, well, shows. Shows. Thank you. Good seeing you too. Morning.
King, last name King.
Good morning. How are you?
I can't think of the name right there. I'll let you know.
You know where you're going, ladies? Okay, well, you're late.
Okay. Go back there.
The sequence, I think this way, I believe. Let me ask you something.
Morning.
Where's the sequence?
We're at it. We're at it. Hey, darling.
These ladies trying to find their way.
Okay, this is C1. C1 of 8 is here.
She's an evil.
E. Depends on the E. Let's see where it goes.
You know what?
What?
I think I understand the expression calm before the storm
Yes.
and the calm after the storm.
Right.
But for a first day, that was not bad.
No, not at all.
Everyone seemed to know where they were going, and we had people around to direct them if they didn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with what I saw. I mean, for this to be the first day, you're not gonna have the halls empty as soon as the bell rings. But it looks like within a matter of days they'll be there.
I have to say one thing, though. My favorite parts are the hugs you got.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That was
Best
neat.
part of my day.
That was neat.
So-
Now, where do you go from George Washington today?
I'm headed to Galileo from here.
To greet some more teenagers.
Yes.
Want to thank you for spending time with us today. And this is just like our second show. And look how much has happened since just 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. Yeah, it keeps moving, doesn't it?
Yes. And it's going to be an exciting year.
It is.
Want to say to all of you out there, we thank you so much for being with us this week and sharing the first day of school with us. This is really a neat experience. When you see all these kids here, they're so excited about starting out a new year. And remember, when that bell rang, there were a lot of them here. Bell went away. 2 seconds later, they've all found where they're supposed to be. That's what it's all about here in Danville Public Schools. We thank you for being with us, and you be sure to come back next week because something exciting is probably going to be happening. Look what's happened in the last 2 weeks.